Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Bloom with me. I am Arshia Anand and currently you're watching the episode 4 of the Class 10 series. In this episode, we're going to talk about something that really impacts your result, and that is how to study smarter for each and every subject. Because be real, okay, you cannot study maths and history the same way. They are two different subjects, okay? And if you're studying both of them the same way, then there's a problem, mate. So in this video, we'll discuss how to study each subject more smartly so that you don't have to waste all of your day studying just one subject, and you can complete your syllabus within the limited time that you have and you can complete it efficiently. So let's start with the first subject, which is highly stressing and not at all favorite of most of the students, which is mathematics. So for mathematics, I usually recommend to follow a plan which is understand, practice, fix, and repeat. I'll explain every one of it. The first stage is understand. What does understand mean? It basically means that before you jump into the questions or you go straight into the questions, the first thing that you gotta do is understand the concept of this chapter. What this chapter is about, what are the core concepts or core laws or formulas of these chapters, and how do they apply and where do they apply, etc, etc. If you have a strong foundation of what the concept is, you will be easily able to apply those formulas in your questions and understand how these questions work, which will be way more easier to understand and do your questions efficiently. So the first and foremost thing is understanding. The second stage is practice, which is the only thing in maths that can save you, that is practice. You have to practice a lot of questions, a variety of questions also, because in each chapter there are n number of questions, n number different types of questions that comes. So you have to practice those questions. Make sure that you are up to date with whatever the question changes have been there, and you have the knowledge of what questions and which type of questions are being repeated in the previous years. So I recommend you to stick to the PYQs, and do references. But beforehand, complete the NCERT. Like first do the understand the concept, then do the NCERT, and in the NCERT not only do the exercise, along the exercises do the examples. Okay, the examples questions also highly come in the board exam paper, and they also give you a variety of questions to practice, and your number of questions also increases, so hence better practice, more practice. So first understand, then do the NCERT first along with the examples. Do it nicely, understand each and every question in the NCERT, and once you understand the NCERT nicely, then move to the PYQs or the reference books, etc, etc. The third stage was fix. Now what does fix means? Fix means fixing your mistakes or reflecting on your mistakes and doing better in the next questions. So whenever you do some questions, if you have any mistake or you get any question wrong, just circle it, or what I would suggest is make a small notebook, called the mistake notebook, which is a really highly used technique. So in this mistake notebook, what you do is you note down all the questions which you got wrong, and after you get a question wrong, you note down in that mistake notebook, you get the right answer of the question, understand how that question works and all that stuff. And after 1 to 2 days, you once again practice the same questions, so that to make sure that you remember the right answers and how that question works. It really helps you to reflect on your mistakes and practice more efficiently. The last thing is repeat, which means you have to again and again practicing. You have to keep practicing your questions, more and more question papers, more and more PYQs, and etc, etc. Sometimes students tend to be overconfident on a certain chapter which is easier, but the thing is that many difficult questions can arise from that chapter, and they tend to miss that chapter or just ignore that chapter. So don't do that. Practice each and every chapter nicely, whether it's probability, real numbers, quadratic equations, trigonometry. There can be a slight difference in the priority you give to these chapters, but practice each and every chapter nicely. Let's move to the second subject, which is science. Now for science, it is divided into 3 parts: physics, chemistry, and bio. And all three of them have different ways of studying. Okay, so first we have physics. For physics, you have to follow the same thing as maths because it's also a maths heavy subject. You have to solve a lot of numericals, practice a lot. One thing in physics is that you also have to give focus on the understand part, because there are chapters based on only theory also. Like not only theory but mainly theory, like the second chapter of physics is a lot of theory, so you have to remember that also. So understand, one stage should be really strong in physics. You should be very well aware of what the numerical is about, what concept is going to apply in there, what formula is going to apply in there, and all that stuff. So make sure you first nicely understand the concept and build a strong foundation for physics. The second is chemistry. For chemistry, one major problem that arises while studying chemistry is remembering the salts and acid-base salts chapter and remembering the reactions, right? So for reactions, one thing I'll say is that do not just read them or just look over them. Write and learn them, because writing helps to store the information in your brain more efficiently. So whenever you're studying reactions, make sure you have somewhere that you have written first or second time when you're studying the reactions, write down those reactions while you're studying this and while you are understanding this, and paste that paper somewhere near your study table so that you have a look over it for 5 to 10 minutes every day or every alternative day, so that it will help you to learn those reactions more better. And the second thing is use flashcards for remembering the information, like disadvantages, advantages, or some matters about the acid, base, and salt chapters, like, right? And to understand especially the fourth chapter, which is one of the most difficult chapter, which is carbon compounds, flashcards are lifesaver in such chapters. So make sure you use flashcards. Third is biology. For biology, it's a very theory heavy subject, and one thing that really helped me in biology was diagrams. Use diagrams or make flowing charts of each and every concept so that you can easily remember it, because our brain easily understands what we visualize or something we see more than what we read or hear. So it's important that you convert whatever you are reading into some sort of diagram or flowing chart so that you remember it more nicely. Next, we move to the third subject, which is social studies. Now, social studies is also a very theory heavy subject. Like, it has only theory, no numericals and stuff, a map a little bit. So sometimes the students are scared will they remember such vast amount of text and theory. So one thing that helped me in SST, especially in history and civics, was storytelling. Read the chapters or understand the chapters in forms of story, especially history. How did this work? How did the events flow? What happened after this event, and how did it impact, etc, etc. Learn it in a way of a story. It's really helpful. Highly recommended. It will be very easy to understand history, especially in the form of story. It's a really great way, especially history, because you have to remember minor details, so you just can't remember just by reading the book. So you have to create a story so you know the flow of how the chapter goes, so that it will be really easy for you to understand and remember the details also. Second thing is using flashcards. Once again, especially in geography, geography and economics, use flashcards for terms or for how to explain the concepts, etc, etc. Use flashcards. Third thing, which in geography especially, is use maps. Whenever you're studying each and every subject of each and every chapter of geography, almost every chapter has maps in it. So keep an atlas or a map with you when you are studying that chapter, and locate the things while you are studying, because it will help you with your map also, and it will help you to understand geography also. As a person who was really bad in geography, this was a life changer. Next comes my most favorite technique, and it will work in the whole social studies as well as biology, which is the Feynman Technique. Now, what is the Feynman Technique? I talked about this technique in my previous video also. So the Feynman Technique is you teach or you pretend to teach a 5-year-old your matter. So what it is that when you study a matter, you finish it, if you think you've understood it, then close the books and try teaching that matter to a 5-year-old student. So because you're teaching to a 5-year-old, your language should be very, very simple and easy to understand. And if you're not able to explain that your subject or whatever concept you're studying to a 5-year-old in a very easy language, then you're not really ready, or you're not really understanding that concept. So re-understand that concept. But if you're able to do it, then very great and good. You understand the concept and it will stay with you for a really, really long time. So use this Feynman technique. Highly, highly recommended. Now for the last subjects, which are Hindi and English language subjects, basically, I recommend using the 3R technique. Now what is the 3R technique? So 3R technique is read, reduce, rewrite. So it's really important to read all the stories in poem, not the summaries, but the stories and poem from your NCERT. Read those, understand the details, understand how the story or the chapter flows. Don't just go by reading the summaries. They're not gonna really help you in the exam, okay? Especially in long answers. Second, reduce. After reading the stories, form your own summaries of what you understand of that chapter, what did you gain from that chapter, some important points that you remember. It will help you. It's called a blurting method. In some way, you can say that you have to just blurt out everything that you have written down or you have understood in that chapter, or what you have read in that chapter. You have to make your own summary and you have to write whatever you remember, whatever that comes in your mind related to that chapter. Third is rewrite. Rewrite basically is with grammar and writing. So what people usually do in grammar and writing is that they just read the concept of grammar and look at the format of writing and they go and give the exam. But this will not really work in the board exam. So I suggest practicing the grammar and the writing part. At least do 2 questions, because there are only 2 things in writing, I think. Analytical paragraph and letter writing. So there are only 2 things in writing. All you have to do is do at least 2 questions of each of the writing part and do a lot of grammar questions. It will really, really help you. Trust me, the grammar we got in our pre-board was very, very difficult. So I suggest you to do grammar question, do grammar practice, do not ignore grammar. Especially Hindi grammar, which many people find really, really difficult. Both Hindi course A and Hindi course B, the grammar is quite tough. So highly emphasize on practicing your Hindi grammar using any grammar reference book or etc. Read as many examples as you can, practice as many questions as you can. It will be really, really helpful, trust me. So that's it for now. I hope this video helped you. Make sure you understand whatever I said in this video and you follow all these techniques. My suggestions, please follow the Feynman technique, the blurting method, and stick to the way I told you to study maths, because that is the only and the best way to study maths or physics. And do try the Feynman technique, very highly recommended. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Make sure you subscribe the channel, like this video, and comment down how your class 10 board journey is going on. I'll meet you in the next episode. Till then, bye bye.